Often people will come up to me and say, hey, you really like guns. And I always respond with, what I really like is freedom. I want the right to own a gun if I choose. Politicians, in Canada, they're just god awful. They're terrible. They think that you should not be allowed to protect yourself. If somebody was chasing you with a gun, you're not supposed to shoot back. You're supposed to just roll over, get dead, and then they'll come and measure the body. In the U.S., pretty much the same, although with Democrats in particular, although many of them say you can in fact defend your life in your home, but not outside of the home. I suggest that if somebody wants a gun and they're denied that right, because it is a right, to have a gun, and bad things happen to them as a consequence and they're not able to defend themselves, I suggest very strongly that politicians should be charged. They should be hung from the highest tree. There should be a consequence for denying life, liberty, and cha-cha to the citizenry. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible thing when you have elected people who walk around all puffed up and say, listen to me because I'm smarter than you, and particularly when it comes to self-defense. Let me share a story with you. Several years ago, my wife, 2 daughters, and myself were in a motorhome going down to Arizona. And, I don't know, it was late in the day, 5, maybe 6 o'clock, and a van full of guys, there were 6 of them. They were high on something, and I got to tell you, it wasn't life. They kept driving by the motorhome and seeing the 3 girls. I was up in the top bunk, as it were, and they were making catcalls and all types of obscene gestures. And finally, they passed us and didn't see them again for some time. So I took over driving, and about 3 in the morning, we were coming into the Grand Canyon, and they had the roadblock with this beat-up old van, and there were 6 great big tough men high on something again, standing outside. And they saw me driving. I put the window down a little bit, and I said, "Can I help you?" And they were quite surprised to see me, a man, and they said, "Can we have a boost?" And I said, "Sure you can." So I took my Colt 45, loaded it, of course, put it in my belt. It was very visible, filled my pocket up with other cartridges, and I stood outside. I told my wife, have a look and make sure nobody sneaks up behind me. And I was really pumped up because I knew that we had a life-changing thing going on, or about to go on, unless I could stop it or prevent it. So I went outside and I stood there. And the guys, they looked into my eyes, and they could tell I was going to shoot them. And I truly was. I was going to drop every one of them because I wouldn't allow rape, pillage, and burn. And one guy started to walk towards me. My hand went down. I didn't even touch my gun. And the other guy grabbed the man who was coming towards me, pulled them back and said, "Uh-oh, don't do that." They shot their hood and they drove away. That's the story. My daughter looked at me later and she said, "Dad, you really were going to shoot them, weren't you?" And I said, "Yes, I was." I mean, this was going to be a gunfight, not a hand fight, because, I would lose, and this is the equalizer. If you need help in your own world, you want to protect your family, get a gun. Be legal, but get a gun. And who's going to go after those politicians? It's the NRA in the US of A, and it's the CSSA in Canada. See ya.